Turned out to be a very nice day, a lot of sunshine, although we did have a few showers in along the coastline, and it was a little bit warmer, but beautiful blue sky out toward downtown at the moment, and the dew points have finally started to drop a little bit more. Now, not dramatically, lower 60s, but humidity right now is at 49%, and it does look like this slightly drier air. Dew points maybe upper 50s, but certainly low 60s will stick with us for most of the rest of the week. Today's high got up to 86 degrees. Now, we're not talking record territory. Records even still in the low 90s this time of year, but our average high is 84. We did drop down to 70 degrees early this morning. However, we were in the 60s on the North Shore and even areas away from the city. And I do think with dew points a little bit lower today and overnight, we should see temperatures by tomorrow morning a few degrees cooler. Saw a lot of sunshine, but where you see some of the more billowy clouds associated with a few isolated showers have been down along the coastline. And that has really been our only rainfall. So coverage-wise today, about 10% or less, as most of us stayed dry, but a few showers down in the bayou parishes have been developing. We're in the low 80s across the area right now, and as I said, the dew points have finally started to drop, albeit slightly over the last couple of hours, and it does look like this slightly drier air will stick with us for the next couple of days, because it really had been just off to our west. It finally looks as though we're getting at that more westerly component to the upper atmosphere to get in some of that drier air. What's also happening is the upper low is starting to move northward, and you can kind of see a flow coming in from the west. That's associated with a weak upper trough as well as an upper ridge, kind of helping to keep that drier air in place for the rest of the week and on into the weekend. And what's not been great news is because that upper low is near stationary, the heavy rainfall is still getting funneled across the Florida Panhandle, Florida Peninsula, as well as up into Georgia and even toward the Carolinas. This upper low is moving away from us. An upper trough and ridge will keep that drier air in place. But what the upper high is also going to help to do is really start warming temperatures up. There look to be kind of an encouraging upper trough deepening as we head into the end of the weekend, but it starts to lift back northward. And that is the problem. Any of these big upper troughs that would bring down more of that fall chill are all going to stay out to our west. And the eastern half of the nation going through next week will be warmer than average. So certainly not getting into a fall feel for the eastern half of the nation. It'll be downright chilly for some folks across the west coast and especially out in the mountain west. Checking the tropics. Now, thankfully, we are not tracking any active storms right now. There are no named systems. And the only area that we're even keeping an eye on, at least from the Hurricane Center's perspective, is a little tropical wave that is trying to get a little bit better organized, still north of the Bahamas right now, and we could see some development off the east coast. But as far as the Gulf of Mexico goes, there is nothing going on. Here's our old frontal boundary, and you do see a little area of thunderstorms, somewhat of a weak tropical wave moving toward the Yucatan. Our computer model, though, indicating that will just continue moving toward the west and no development is expected. Notice model not really aggressive with anything forming off of the east coast, and the Gulf of Mexico stays very quiet. Now, this model is putting us into the middle of next week. We're almost to that halfway point through the month of October, when by the second half, things usually do settle down by quite a bit. Now, of course, last year was the exception with Zeta, but this is not last year. Once we get past October 15, things usually do settle down. And again, the good news is there is nothing in the long-range models for us to worry about in the tropics, even though it's going to start feeling a little more summer-like over the course of the weekend. Highs over the next few days into the mid-80s. Today's high was 86, so we could easily be that. But with that ridge building in, highs getting into the upper 80s, I dare say we might even see a 90-degree here or there as we head into early next week with that ridge building in. Now, we are going to start to see a little bit more of that Gulf moisture returning, so the drier air will stay in place through the weekend. We'll start to see more of a southerly wind coming back in by early next week. So the muggies will start to return and maybe an isolated shower, but that ridge of high pressure, it looks like we're going to stay dry through the middle of next week.
All right, thanks very much, Chris.